Hello YouTube and welcome to the new Cigarette Burns review, and this time, as you already know, we are reviewing Requiem for a Dream, so let's just get this bitch reviewed. The plot follows four people played by Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, Marlon Wayans and Ellen Bernstein, who all become addicted to something, and with all four it's drugs, but Ellen Bernstein becomes addicted to television as well, so it's basically a film about how they deal with their addictions, how they interact with each other, and how they kind of decline into the deep dark abyss and basically destroy their lives and each other. So it's not a cheery film, but it is a remarkable one. The film's directed by Darren Aronofsky, who most people will probably know from The Wrestler. This was one of his earlier films. I think he did it after Pie and Before the Fountain, if I'm remembering correctly. Basically, it shows that he is a director that is going places. And I must admit, the first time I watched this film, I didn't really like it. But that sounds familiar because that's the same way I felt about Blade Runner. So this film now, I've seen it a few times. Absolutely love it, adore it, think it's fantastic. So basically, Darren Aronofsky is one of those directors like Ridley Scott, like Stanley Kubrick, like David Fincher, who's such a perfectionist that he can layer his movies, and yes, on first viewing it might go over your head and you might not like it, but with each viewing you peel back another layer to the movie, and he does it really well. You discover more and more every time you watch it. And also, another thing that he does really well in this movie is that it's stylish. It's very stylish, but it never feels like he's showing off. It's got a gritty edge to it. It's set at Coney Island, I think, like New York and stuff like that area. It never feels like he's showing off, because he manages to keep it grounded in reality, even though the visuals, well, some of the visuals and some of the music choices, and I'll get onto the music in a bit, feels like really kind of eccentric and huge and wide and epic, but Darren Aronofsky manages to keep it compact and tight into this really personal film, personal story that you just go along with the ride. Basically, you can tell that he is in love with these characters, and it really shines through in the film. The acting in this movie is great. I cannot think of anybody who lets the side down at all. Standout is Ellen Bernstein. I don't think she was even nominated for an Oscar for this, but I think it's just one of those performances of a lifetime. She's so good in this movie when she becomes addicted to her diet pills and television and stuff, and just you watch her slow decline over the course of the movie. You buy into it. She's so committed to the character that you forget you're watching an actress. You feel and think like you're watching a real human being, you know, slide down the slope of insanity, and you just want to catch them, but you can't. Obviously, it's such a good performance. It's one that will go down in film history, or at least it should. She completely deserves more recognition for her role in this movie. I thought she was absolutely fantastic. The standout element of this movie for me is without a doubt the music by Clint Mansell, I believe. He basically delivers my favourite film score of all time. It feels epic and grand, but feels oddly intimate at the same time, and you might think, even listening to it on YouTube, you might think, well, no, that doesn't feel intimate at all, but when you watch it with Darren Aronofsky's visuals against it, it does really kind of convey this intimacy, and I can't explain it, but when you watch the movie, you'll understand what I mean. But that is definitely the best thing about the movie for me, is the music. I mean, it's very rare that a score comes along that just makes your ears prick up, and it's been used on many, many film trailers before, so it's obvious that Hollywood realised that it's one of the greats, and it doesn't really get much better than that. Whether or not you like this movie will depend on how you approach it, because I'm going to say right here and now that it is depressing. You know, you are watching characters destroy themselves. It's not a happy film whatsoever. There are no happy moments in it, although it is a brilliant movie and I enjoy watching it, mainly because I'm not in their situation. But it's a great film. Just go into it open-minded. Don't expect a conventional movie with an emotional payoff, because it goes to some really, really deep and dark places. The last act of this movie is some of the most twisted, depraved and dark shit I've ever seen on film. And although it's not as graphic as some films, like, for instance, films like Antichrist exist to do nothing more than provoke outrage from the audience, and I think that's a cheat. I think it's a cop-out. This film exists to tell a story, and yet through its direction, its brilliant direction by Darren Aronofsky, it provokes those same reactions without trying too hard. It's not as graphic as it could be. He could have gone a lot further with it, but the way he handles the material really does pay off. Time for a rating. I'm going to give Requiem for a Dream 5 stars. It is depressing, but it is wholly rewarding and Oscar-worthy in my opinion for both its score and Ellen Bernstein's performance. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. If you have seen it, watch it again. It's brilliant. So 5 stars from me. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this review. So this is CivilianSnowman signing out. I'll see you later. Bye.